Okay, so that's power auras. That's pretty much all of the important stuff that you really need for getting around and functioning as a bear. So now I'm going to show you macros. Macros allow you, to typo apparently. Macros allow you to do specific abilities and combine them or tweak them in subtle ways. So healers will commonly create things called mouse over macros. You'll notice that I'm using one for my rejuvenation. I can rejuve myself by not having anything selected. I can rejuve this Latin lover guy over there. Oh, see, look, he's got my rejuve now. Or just by keeping him selected and not mousing over anything, I can also rejuve him. So those are some of the fun things. Macro that you can do with mouse over macros. You can also use them to combine abilities. One of the things that I use is called my fuck you Roycat macro. Roycat being one of the individuals that I was guilded with, who is an insane rep paladin, ranks all the time, and is an extreme threat whore. So the Roycat macro is basically everything that I can pop in order to try to get extra threat off the bat. It uses it. It'll use a potion of Tol'Vir. It will cast Enrage because I have the talent for the extra damage while enraged. And it's going to pop Berserk so that I can go straight into Mangle spam in order to try and keep threat. Another one that I use is pretty much a basic macro that has anything that I want to always have active every cooldown. So I have my what I call my Barkskin macro. This is actually my Mangle macro, Mangle being my main attack. Basically, every time I press my Mangle macro, it's going to go through and do all of these things. It's going to use my Ancient Petrified Seed, which is the trinket that I just picked up. There, every 1 minute gives me almost 1300 agility. After paw, it actually is over 1300 agility, so really nice use right there. And, you know, mastery is always nice. So pop that, start attacking. That's probably the most annoying part about all of our abilities, is that sometimes if you don't have rage and you try to use an ability, not enough rage, not enough rage, you're just going to sit there. You're not actually starting to attack in order to build rage. So it becomes very annoying. So /start attack will allow you to start attacking. So now, if I macro in, let's create a new macro. We're going to call this Lacerate, because, you know, I'm so creative. And we're going to do /start attack and /cast Lacerate. So there's Lacerate. Gonna drag and drop that there. There we go, there's Lacerate. Alright, I don't have enough energy or enough rage, but it's going to start attacking for me so I can start building that rage. And that's what start attack does. Excuse me, sorry, my nose itches. So there are, you know, those are the more simple things. My Barkskin macro has Enrage, Mangle, and Barkskin, as well as using that Ancient Petrified Seed, pretty much so that every cooldown I have those abilities up. So once a minute, I've got a huge burst of threat and a little bit of extra damage being mitigated through the Barkskin being up. Then there are more complicated macros, like this one. This is my speedy macro. This macro allows me, gonna get out of combat. This macro allows me to combine all of my movement boosting abilities in one key press. Well, what are the movement boosting abilities? Well, if you're in cat form, you've got dash. If you're in cat or bear form, you've got stampeding roar. And if you happen to be a worgen like I am, you have dark flight. You can also add things like rocket boots. You know, anything that you have that is going to give you a movement speed increase, you can add it to this. Excuse me. So, well, how do you do all of that? Well, first, which abilities are available depends on what stance you're in. Stances are for warriors. Well, technically, each of our forms is considered a stance. The list of which forms are equal to which stances can be found on either WoWWiki or Wowpedia. But more specifically, if I am not in stance 1 or 3, 1 being bear and 3 being cat, as you can see here, here's 1, that's bear. That's aquatic form, which I believe is 2. Here's 3, that's cat. So if I'm not, or no stance, 1 or 3, there's that or again with that slash. So if I'm not in stance 1 or 3, I'm going to do the following. First, after 120 seconds, if I haven't pressed that button in 120 seconds, it's going to reset the whole thing. First, I'm going to cancel Dark Flight. Okay, well, here I am. I'm not in stance 1 or 3, so there we go. There's Dark Flight. If I don't press that button for 2 minutes, then it's going to reset back to Dark Flight, which is fine because Dark Flight has a 2-minute cooldown. But this is a cast sequence, so you want to make sure that you have a reset. Well, a reset for something this short, not necessarily needed, but it makes it look clean so that people know what you're doing. Stance 3 is cat form. So here's Dark Flight. Here I go to cat form. Well, nothing looks like it changed, but whoa, lo and behold, there's the dash button instead. Look at that. Dash happens to be the first in my list for cat form. So here's dash. Next in the sequence will be Stampeding Roar, cat form version, and then Dark Flight. So why that particular order? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The first is that dash can only be used in cat form. So if I'm in cat form for some reason, I'm not necessarily always going to be in cat form. I might have to be in human form because I just rebirth somebody and then I need to get away quickly, or I'm going to be in bear form, in the next 10 seconds, and I'm going to need to be able to use my other abilities. So I want to use the ability that is tied to cat form first. So I'm going to use dash first. So first is dash. And here we go. Here is dash. Whee! I'm so speedy. Look at that. Zoom. Notice that my icon has changed, and now it is Stampeding Roar, which is the next one. So now I can, or at least once my dash is over, I can now Stampeding Roar. So I could switch to Stampeding Roar, go on and use that. I'm good to go. And then after Stampeding Roar is going to be Dark Flight. When I switch into bear form, Stampeding Roar is the first one in the list, so that's the first one I'm going to have access to. And then Dark Flight is the second there. So basically it's kind of an order of operations of using which one is most specific to your stance. Hey look, it's a gnome warrior. How cute. And then using last the one that is more generally useful in all of the stances. So notice that I have different reset timers. This says reset of 144. That is because, oops, did not want to do that. Escape. La 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 la. So feral dash 2.4 minute cooldown. Well, 2 minutes is 120 seconds. 4/10 is going to be 4 times 6 is 24, so it's 144 seconds. So I used my dash, but I didn't use Stampeding Roar. Notice that Stampeding Roar is still available. And so next I can use Stampeding Roar, or if I haven't done anything with that, I haven't pressed that button for the amount of time before dash is going to reset itself, then it's going to reset to dash, which is going to happen in about 20 seconds. I'll show you when it happens. Or I can use Stampeding Roar now, which is something that I could do, and it's going to reset that 144 second counter. The thing is, since dash is going to be up already, I'll have Stampeding Roar active, Next will be Dark Flight, and then if I use Dark Flight, Dash is already available again. So then after Dash is up, Stampeding Roar will either be available again soon. You know, that's everything else is on cooldown. Stampeding Roar is going to be next. So I wait for that to come up so that I can use it, or after 144 seconds, Dash is usable again. So it's extremely useful. You know, you've gone from having 3 different keybinds, possibly 4 if you've got a different one for Stampeding Roar Cat and Stampeding Roar Bear, to 1. Great stuff, huh? And notice here, it reset to Dash. You can do specific targeting of things. Target equals mouse over means that if you are moused over somebody, they are helpful, so they're a friend. No help would be not a friend. They're not dead, so no dead. Then it's going to cast all your mouse over. That would be the first priority. It checks to see if this is true. If it is, then it casts the ability at your prospective target. So then it's going to check the second one if the first one wasn't true, and then it's going to check the third. So the order in which you do these things is important because that's the order that it's going to check them in. So if target is a mouse over, then I'm going to heal the target. So say I have this guy here, Titho, targeted. Ooh, bad stuff. Not cool. Aw, did I really just blitz that? I'm an idiot. La 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 la. I'll go copy it from someplace else. I'm not very smart. La la la. Do 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 do. Oh, gotta fix that. Sorry, brain exploded. So notice I have Rejuve has a target equals mouse over, help no dead option, and then has a nothing else option. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Why do I keep doing this stuff? Yeah, the fact that it captures your mouse is kind of annoying, so be careful there. Let's see. What was I saying? Ah, silly husband's distracting me. So for example, here's Healing Touch. You can see that it has target equals mouse over as the priority. So if I have this guy targeted, but I have this guy moused over, I don't have Healing Touch for my bar because I'm a baddie. I'm going to put that on 4. So the guy who just got Healing Touched is going to be that Warlock right there. And we can check this in the logs. I just healed. Oh, I guess it didn't work. Ah, help. Oh, it's because I had the wrong guy. Hold up. Here we go. Well, I give up. Apparently I'm doing this wrong. Whatever. Basically, what happens is, if you have a mouse over target, it's going to heal them. Or not, if apparently I must have something typed incorrectly in here. Target equals mouse over, help no dead. Oh, that's why, because I drugged the spell out of my bar. Sorry, having a blonde moment. So, yeah, I made the macro, I didn't actually put it on my bar. So, now it's on my bar. So now I have Titho targeted, and, hey look, You know, I knew an back on my old server who was an asshole. I don't know if this guy's an asshole, but yeah, anyway. So, I'm gonna mouse over heal now. And lo and behold, there we go, I just healed for 8k. Hey, it's feral gear. So now if I don't have anybody targeted, it's going to heal Titho because he's next, and if I have no one mouse overed and no one targeted, it's going to heal myself. Ta-da! So that's how the order of operation goes for macros. As far as using items goes, you can use either the name of the item itself, such as use Ancient Petrified Seed, which is my trinket. So if I go bear form and press my 1 key, there we go, I just use the Ancient Petrified Seed. Look at that. You can also do by slot. I want to be perfectly honest that I don't understand their slot numbering system. It's kind of wonky. But basically, the top trinket slot is 13, and the bottom trinket slot is 14. So you can /use and the number of the slot. So /use 13, /use 14. This is amazing because it allows you to trinket the slot instead of the trinket itself. So say I have, instead of my normal fluid death, I have my figurine Earthen Guardian on. Okay, awesome. So now I'm going, if I need to use my Earthen Guardian, I can press F4. Rather than, you know, having to have a different macro for use Earthen Guardian, you know, if I press F4, it's going to be there. I can, you know, do the same thing here. Say I'm still using my Fluid Death, and I have my Ancient Petrified Seed, and I want to swap that out for my figurine Earthen Guardian. Well, there we go. They're both right there. So I can just press that button, and I'm good to go. So that's one of the benefits of using a macro for a slot rather than for an item in particular. Oh, goodness. You can also do normal / commands. You can make a macro to log out. You can make a macro to do /power for power auras. I make one for Ovale. Ovale doesn't have a little button that you can press on and off. It doesn't have a tooltip or a mini-map icon. But I have over here on the left, I have Ovale on, which literally says Ovale show. That's it. And Ovale off, which says Ovale hide. So I can turn it on, I can turn it off. You can also do something called a cancel aura. That is going to be over here, I think. Where's my BOP cancel macro? There it is. /cancel aura. So if you type /cancel aura, let's see, what can I do? Come on. So I've got this active Earthen Guardian cancel aura Earthen Guardian. Oh, of course it's going to be retarded. La 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 la. Well, it's not going to cancel. Fuck my life. Oh, here we go. That's a little bit better. So, cancel aura Mark of the Wild. There we go. No more Mark of the Wild. It's gone. So there are times when this is extremely useful. If you are a tank and you are going to get bopped or Blessing of Protection, bop is also a aggro dump for the entire time that you are under the effects of bop. But bop is extremely useful because it can remove bleeds, it can remove extremely high stacks of mini debuffs. So your friendly paladin may bop you. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get bopped. So you're probably going to want a power aura for that. And I don't know that I have one. I think I have one in here somewhere. Maybe. I used to have one anyway. I used to have a bop power aura. Probably don't have it anymore because I haven't been bopped in about a year. But then you can have a bop cancel aura so that as soon as you know you've been bopped, that aura pops up, you can cancel it, and it'll remove it, and you can go back to tanking as usual. And so, sorry, my husband's begging for attention. So you've got all of these different things that you can do with macros. Let's see, there's one more that I wanted to go over. Now, of course, I can't remember what it is. So you have cancel aura. Oh, stop casting. Once upon a time, healers had to use stop casting macros. So they would start healing with one of their big spells on the tank. Oh, the tank hasn't taken any damage. So they're going to stop casting that spell and start casting it again. And once the tank actually has taken some damage, they're going to let the spell go through. I don't know if healers actually use stop casting macros anymore. They may have died out when, Wrath made healing way too freaking easy. But if you /stop casting at the beginning of a spellcasting macro, if you're already casting any spell, it will stop casting that spell and immediately cast a new one. It says excellent if you're an elemental shaman or even a resto shaman and you need to wind shear for an interrupt. You can add /stop casting to all one word, /stop casting. So I'm going to screw up this here, but it's /stop casting. Add it to the front of that and then have /cast wind shear. And it'll do exactly what you need it to do right there. It's going to stop casting whatever you currently are casting, whether it's a heal, a channel, doesn't matter. And it's going to immediately cast wind shear so that you can make sure that you get those interrupts off when you need them most. When you're layering multiple abilities, where am I at? It's my berserk. When you're layering multiple abilities, the order that they're in can matter, and you want to make sure that you're layering instant cast spells that are not on the global cooldown. If you aren't layering CD free spells, then you can run into a lot of errors. That's when you need to do cast sequence, where it will cast each ability in order. But it defaults to showing the tooltip for the first item. So if I remove this line right here and save, oops, that's not going to work. Now save. The first item is going to be bark skin, but I don't necessarily want to know, well, the first item is going to be the ancient petrified seed, and it's going to show me the name of the macro as the tooltip. That's not very useful. So you can do pound show tooltip, all one word. Hopefully you can read this tiny text. And then the name of the spell. So pound show tooltip mangle. And there you go. Pound show tooltip mangle. It's good stuff. So, gosh, I think that's really it as far as macros go. There are a lot of good tutorials and pre-made macros, once again, available on WoWWiki and Wowpedia. So check those out. Last but not least are keybinds, and every person is going to have their keys bound in a different way. So the way that I do it is not necessarily going to work for you, but it does work well for me, so I figure I'm going to share because I have had some questions about it. First things first, notice that all of my abilities, all of my important abilities, oh, I need to fix and put a real lacerate back. All of my important abilities are on the keys 1, 2, 3, and 4, as you can see in the top right, as well as the control versions of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, control is all the way in the bottom left, and I don't even type home row. I learned how to type by typing kill orc over and over in MUDs. So I don't like stretching in order to hit control and then press 4. What I've done is I have mapped one of the thumb buttons on my mouse. I use a Razer Naga. I have it specifically, the 4 button is mapped to control. So if I hold down control and press 1, well, you can see that I'm trying to press it down here. I don't have enough rage, but that's my control key. And my control key on the keyboard still works. It's just a mapping that I've done in the software for my mouse. So all of my abilities are 1 through 4, control 1 through 4. And then things that I use but I don't necessarily use as often, but I'm going to want close by, are on the F keys. So F1 is Fairy Fire, F2 is Berserk, F3 and 4 are my trinkets, with my use trinkets usually defaulting to F4. Excuse me. And then control and the F keys are special things that I don't use that often, but that I may need to. So Innervate, Rebirth, Tranquility, my 3 major utility spells, Entangling Roots. Bark Skin is on my backtick key. That key just to the left of 1 is backtick. And then Control Backtick is my speedy macro key. And then I use Q and E in order to have 4 extra keybinds. Wait, what? Q and E, but you need those to strafe. Not me. I have my turn left key and turn right key pretty much never used. I mean, I could turn with my arrow keys if I really wanted, but I have instead made strafe left A and strafe right D. I don't have turn keys. It is much more efficient for me to quickly hold down my right mouse button and turn than it is for me to turn. See how slow that is? Or I can just go wham. Hey, look, I've turned. Much faster. So I don't even use my turn keys, so now I have Q and E set for them. Q is my growl or my taunt. E is my skull bash. E is my interrupt key on every character. Every character. Whatever my interrupt is, that's on that key. That way I always know by instinct where to go when I need to interrupt something. Control Q, of course, is my AoE roar, and bash is Control E. But I have a couple of things that, you know, I want to use that aren't necessarily going to fit here. You know, I've used all the easy keys. I have a prospecting macro on hyphen, and I have hibernate on equal sign for emergencies, but those are pretty far out of the way. I also use the number pad. Specifically, I use the 3 most obvious keys on the number pad, which are the O key, which is freaking-normous and easily hit with your thumb very quickly before moving back to your mouse. That is my survival instincts key. Rawr, I glow red. The plus sign, which is also a pretty good sized key on the left-hand side, is my frenzy regeneration key. So I can be rawr and have FR. And then my enrage key, if I want to enrage before combat starts and don't necessarily want it as part of my mangle macro, is my dash key, which is the extreme top right key on the keyboard, also an easy one to hit without having to go that far away from your mouse. I also have some of the keys for the number pad marked. My 1 number pad key is the skull, and the 7 key clears it. And that's pretty much it for my keybinds. Very simple. I have 10,000 other buttons on my mouse that I don't actually use. I only needed the Naga because I wanted 2 buttons that were one on top of the other instead of side by side, and Microsoft is no longer making my Sidewinder. So those are what I use. You're welcome to use, of course, whatever works best for you. My method may not be your method, so by all means, do what you need in order to be comfortable. So that's kind of it for this episode. It's really long. I'm sorry. I might try to break it up into a couple pieces. But enjoy. I wish you the absolute best of luck in all of your tanking endeavors and in your WoW game in general. And until next time, take care.